everybody, today I'm going to be reviewing this Marvel-themed superhero waist training longline corset made by Castle Corsetry. So here's the front, the side, the back, and the other side. And I do apologize about the width in the back of this corset because this corset is a sample. It was on loan for me and I did not actually order it to my measurements. So it's not going to necessarily be an accurate representation of how this corset would fit somebody else who, did order it custom to their measurements. When you go onto the Etsy store, you do give your rib cage, waist, and hip measurements. So at least it is semi-custom. Lengthwise, I don't think that is normally custom, although I'm sure you could make a special request in that situation. But this corset was about 20.5 inches in the waist, and these days I'm wearing a size 24, sometimes 22 with a gap. So this is definitely a smaller size that I'm used to wearing these days. And the reason that this review had been put off for so long was I was hoping to lose a significant amount of weight so that it would fit me better, not only in the waist but also in the ribs and hips, because those are a little small for me as well. But I just wanted you to know that it wasn't necessarily made to have a larger gap in the back. That's just the way that I have to wear it. So I'm sorry, but hopefully you're still able to see a decent enough representation of what the silhouette and the cut is like, so that you can make your choice based on that. So like I said before, when you order this corset, you will actually give them your natural measurements. So the measurements of this sample are a little bit moot, but just for the sake of completion, the waist is about 20.5 inches. The rib cage here is 28 inches. At the high hip, about 2.5 inches down from the waist, I measured it as being 28 inches again. And then the low hip at about the lap level, which is 5.5 inches below the waistline, I measured this as being 34 inches. When I turn to profile, I like the fact that the center front is fairly flat. It's not bowing out a lot. Of course, the fact that this is a longline corset, and so you have the leverage of the fabric wrapping around this hip area, that definitely helps to pull in the lower tummy and help with this. I also like the rounded rib cage here. It is slightly cupped, if you can see here, and it does nip in at the waistline nicely. So I find that to be fairly comfortable as well. Lengthwise, this corset measures 12 inches in the center front. At the princess seam here, from under the bust to the top of the lap area, is 10.75 inches. And like I said before, 5.5 of those inches are from the waistline to the bottom area. So this is actually a little bit long for me because my waist sits low. You can see that I have about 2 inches between my underwire here and where the corset starts. Whereas when I sit down, the bottom edge tends to flip up a little bit. So if this corset were custom fit lengthwise to me, then I would have more of the length distributed from the waist up and less from the waist down. And then the side seam here is 12 inches, and then in the center back it's 12.5 inches. So here's a corset laid flat, and for the materials, it feels like it's 3 layers. So the fashion fabric, of course, is this awesome Marvel-themed print, it feels like it's cotton. And then it has an interlining, which feels like a very sturdy bull denim or cotton twill. And then on the inside, it feels like, again, another layer of cotton twill here. This is what the Castle Corsetry label looks like, and this corset also came with some stickers and temporary tattoos with the Castle Corsetry logo on it, so that was pretty cool. This corset has a 5-panel pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which you can see are divided by these black contrast boning channels here. So you can see the front panel here, it tapers down a little bit towards the lower tummy so that the bones are converging as well, and that helps to flatten the lower tummy. And you can see that the curve of the hip is distributed between a little bit of panel 2, 3, and 4 as well. So I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like this corset was constructed using the welt seam method, and the bones, they're double boned on the seams and sandwiched in between the layers. And then these black boning channels here, these external boning channels, I believe that is mostly just for breaking up the busyness of the pattern as opposed to being a functional external boning channel per se. On the inside here, you can see the outline of the waist tape, 1 inch wide, running invisibly through the layers here, between the layers. It starts right at the front bust there and goes all the way back to the grommets. The binding on this corset, as well as the contrast external boning channels here, seem to be made from a commercially purchased cotton bias binding, finished in black, of course. And it is neatly machine stitched on both the outside and on the inside here. And on the inside, you can see that there are these garter tabs. So 6 of them total, 3 on each side. This corset did not come with a modesty panel in the back, but because you have the option of having this made completely custom for you, I don't think it would be necessarily difficult to ask for a modesty panel in the back. You might have to pay extra for it though, however. And in the front here, there's no modesty placket per se, but the busk is very slightly recessed here, just about 1/8 of an inch, so that when you put the busk together, you can see that the center front print matches up very nicely. And the busk in this corset is 11 inches long, and it has 5 loops and pins all equidistantly spaced. It is a standard width flexible busk, so it's 1/2 inch on each side, but it does have another flat steel bone adjacent to either side of the busk to help with the stiffness. And these bones actually to the side here are also flat steel bones, so that really helps the front remain more rigid. So this corset has 22 steel bones total, 11 on each side, and I do feel the pull of the magnet for all of them. So it has 10 flat steel bones and 12 spiral steel bones. So where the flat steel bones are, of course, there are 2 in the back sandwiching the grommets there. Like I said before, 2 on the seam here, the first seam between panels 1 and 2 to help with the rigidity of the center front. And again, another flat steel bone right beside the busk. So that is 5 on each side, 10 total. And then the 12 1/4 inch wide spiral steel bones are on these seams here, again double boned on the seams. And this corset has a total of 26 grommets, 13 on each side, size 00 with a medium flange around them. These style grommets are very popular among the American corset makers, I've noticed. And the grommets are a little bit more than 1 inch apart, set equidistantly except for right at the waistline here, where they're a little bit closer together to give you more control cinching at the waist. The underside of the grommets, I see no issues. They have nice big washers. All the grommets seem to have rolled really nicely. None of them are pulling out. I don't see any fraying of the fabric around them, so it's looking really good. And the ribbon that is used here is a single face satin, about 3/8 of an inch wide, so it's a little bit less than 1/2 an inch wide, but it seems to be holding pretty well. I don't notice any damage or fraying of the ribbon here. No stretch to it. It holds the bow really well, has a nice flat profile if I want to hide this corset underneath clothing. It has a little bit less bulk to it compared to the shoelace style laces. This corset is currently available on the Castle Corsetry Etsy shop for $250 US. And this concludes my review of Castle Corsetry's Superhero Longline Corset. So I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something new. If you did, please remember to click that like button down there and help support the channel. If you have any comments or questions about this corset or Castle Corsetry in general, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you have this corset and you like it, let us know what you think in the comments below as well. I will see you next week for another video. Bye.